I spent a good number of years of my life doing spiritual work and even some paranormal investigation, long before I was ever paid for any of it. In the mid 1980s and throughout the 1990s, it wasn't unusual for me to get a call from a friend asking me to do a house cleansing for them because they thought they were being haunted or plagued by a spirit. I was pretty successful at this kind of work, and so a lot of my friends handed out my number to coworkers, acquaintances, and associates who felt that they had an unwanted presence in their homes. During that time of my life, I heard a lot of stories of the supernatural. Some of them I eventually wrote down, others I just committed to memory. The story I'm going to share with you in this video was first told to me in the mid 1990s by a woman of the name of Anna Kay. This is perhaps one of the most eerie stories I have ever heard, but Anna swore that it was all true. I call this story The Intruder. Anna Kay was happy when she found the little house in Rockland County, New York. It was cozy, quiet, had a spacious yard, and surrounded by plenty of trees. It was a refreshing change from where she grew up in New York City, with its many skyscrapers and endless miles of sidewalks. The move was smooth and painless. It was like it was supposed to happen. The first 6 months in Anna's new home were extremely peaceful, but then, one August morning, all that began to change. It was a Saturday morning, and Anna stood at the kitchen counter pouring herself a cup of coffee, when suddenly a shadowy figure passed behind her. Anna lived alone, so of course there should be no one else in the house. She glanced up in surprise, but no one was there. She stood for a moment as an eerie feeling washed over her, but she then convinced herself that it was just her imagination. She finished pouring her coffee and trotted off to the living room to watch the local weather forecast. No other unusual events occurred that day until Anna returned home late at night from visiting a friend. As she walked into the dark, empty house, she swore that she heard someone whispering her name in the bathroom. The whispers seemed almost maniacal and hectic as they chanted her name over and over again. Anna froze in fright in the darkened house. She then reached out and snapped on the kitchen light in a panicked motion. The bathroom was small and just off the kitchen, so when the light came on, it illuminated the entire lavatory. Anna peered into the small room, but saw no one was there. She let out a sigh of relief and told herself that it must have been the wind. Convincing herself that the whole affair was just her ears playing tricks on her, Anna went about her business and got ready for bed. All was then quiet in the little house into the following weekend. Anna had gotten up early that particular Saturday morning. She had turned on the coffee pot and decided to take a shower while her morning energy was brewing. But upon emerging from the bathroom and stepping into the kitchen, Anna saw that a large cup of coffee was waiting for her on the counter. The refrigerator door was wide open, and a carton of milk lay on the floor, spilling its contents across the tiles. Anna's heart quickened as she realized that someone must be in the house. She hadn't made the coffee. It was just barely beginning to brew when she stepped into the shower. A numbing fear crept over her body as thoughts raced through her mind. But those thoughts were cut short as the sound of heavy footsteps began to clump down the stairs next to the kitchen. Wrapped in only a towel, Anna grabbed her cordless phone and ran into the small foyer that led to the back porch. From there, she quickly dialed 911 to report the unnerving incidents. From this particular vantage point, Anna could also see if anyone descended the stairs, but no one ever did. The police did show up fairly quickly in response to Anna's call. They searched the house, but no evidence of an intruder was found. After the coffee incident, Anna had the locks on her doors changed with the permission of her landlord. She also kept all the windows locked at all times and decided to keep an aluminum baseball bat in the kitchen for personal safety. She also placed night lights all around the house because it seemed too creepy at night when the lights were out. Things were fairly quiet for about 2 weeks this time, but the strange activity returned. It was on a Monday morning as Anna was in the shower, readying herself for work. She was rinsing the soap from her skin when all of a sudden someone started hitting the shower curtain. The curtain was transparent enough that Anna could see a black shape through it. She could also see the dark form of a hand as it slapped at the shower curtain again and again with frightening speed and repetition. In shock, Anna put her back against the shower wall and let out a blood-curdling scream. But then immediately, the activity stopped. Once again the police were called and the premises were searched, but nothing was found. Anna stayed with a friend for a week after the last incident. The locks were changed again, a friend installed a home security system, and the house was blessed by a local minister. The house was blessed because Anna began to have thoughts of another kind of intruder after the occurrence in the shower. Because when she exited the shower that frightening morning, she noticed that the bathroom door was locked. She had locked it herself and had made it a habit after the episode with the coffee. So who was in the bathroom? Where did they go? And how did they even get in? It was an immensely scary thing for Anna to think about ghosts and hauntings. She didn't even want to believe in such things, but after what happened in her bathroom, it made her wonder. Upon returning home after a week away, Anna felt a little uneasy. But as the first week alone passed, she began to feel more secure. She chuckled at herself for entertaining thoughts of ghosts and put the whole thing out of her mind after a few days. It was business as usual after that, until one night when Anna rose to go to the bathroom at about 2:30 a.m. She plodded down the stairs into the kitchen and turned on the light. Once the light was on, Anna saw what looked like a man standing in the front of the bathroom door. It was shaped like a man anyway, wearing torn and tattered clothes. Its skin looks badly bruised, and it reached for Anna with a crooked hand that displayed long yellow cracked nails at the fingertips. But the most frightening thing about this apparition was its head, for it wasn't human. Instead, the thing had the head of a bull, a dead bull. Its eyes were wide open and clouded over with deathly white film. The skin on the head was lacerated in parts, and dried blood and bone could be seen in the gashes. Long slobbers of mucus and blood hung from the thing's nose and mouth, and it snorted as it reached for Anna. Anna went numb with fright. Her legs felt weak and heavy. She tried to scream, but the sound got caught in her throat. Over the thing's shoulder, she could see another dark shape moving in the bathroom. It swirled and gathered in the blackness as it whispered her name over and over again. It soon seemed that the entire bathroom was filled with someone, something, a group of someone or something, calling to her in the darkness. Anna gasped as she tried to scream once more. Her heavy legs fought as she trudged toward the front door. Her bladder was full, and it emptied in a trail of yellow as she seemed to move in slow motion away from the terrible sight. Once at the front door, she pushed through and collapsed on the dew-drenched ground. Her chest heaved as she tried to regain control of her breath. But then the front door opened wide. It was like someone was standing there, looking at her, but no one could be seen. Anna gasped again, dragged herself to her feet, and stumbled down the dark road until she found a neighbor's house. She banged loudly until lights flicked on and someone opened the door. Once inside, it took several minutes for Anna to regain her composure and make a phone call to her friend. Anna never stepped foot in the house again after that night. Her friends and family members had to return and pack her belongings for her. She moved back to New York City and left the isolated country life long behind her. Anna has a roommate now and vowed never to live by herself again. As for the house, 2 families lived there since Anna, but no one has ever lived there for too long now. It seemed that as quickly as someone moved in, they quickly moved out. One family who lived in the house was located and said that there was something wrong with the residents and their children never slept at night. They said they'd done some research on the house after moving out, and it was said that a man murdered his family and killed himself in the bathroom. This murder-suicide allegedly took place somewhere in the early 1970s. The last I've heard of this property, it was run down and no one had lived in it for years. The land has been acquired by a new owner who plans to tear down the old structure and build a new house in its place. But one has to wonder, will the intruders go with the old house, or will they stay on the land?